Millionaire returns at midnight. And can't believe what he discovered. The clock struck midnight as Oliver Vanderbilt swung open the door to his sprawling mansion, a breath caught in his throat, his heart pounding like a drum in the quiet of the night. He had just returned from an extravagant gala, but nothing prepared him for the sight that greeted him. The air felt thick, charged, as if the house itself waited with bated breath, harboring secrets that had been buried beneath the opulence. He stepped inside, his expensive shoes sinking into the plush carpet, every fiber whispering tales of unseen happenings. His eyes darted around the foyer, searching for signs of life or signs of something else. Flickering faces crowded his mind, images of a strange figure he had spotted earlier, someone cloaked in shadows, lurking just outside the party. His stomach churned, and a sense of dread slithered down his spine. The chandelier above glimmered, casting eerie shapes on the wall, but Oliver couldn't shake the nagging feeling that he wasn't alone, that something had shifted in his absence. Glancing towards the grand staircase, he spotted a faint shimmer at the top, like a beacon in the darkness. Nervous, he swallowed hard. With each step he climbed, the sensation of being watched intensified. The hallway stretched long, bathed in the pale glow of the moonlight seeping through the giant windows. He could feel the hairs prickling on the back of his neck. What if that figure had followed him home? As he reached the landing, he heard a soft creaking noise. His heart raced. Could it be the wind, or was it something more? He hesitated, sensing a presence that pulled him further into the dimly lit corridor. He pushed forward, compelled by a mix of fear and curiosity. At the end of the hallway, a door stood ajar, a thin line of light spilling out into the darkness. What was behind that door? Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Oliver braced himself and nudged the door open. The air that rushed out was stale, heavy with the scent of dust and something metallic. His pulse quickened. There, sprawled across the floor, lay a mysterious collection of items, each one more unsettling than the last: torn photographs, cryptic notes, and what looked like a blood-stained shirt. His mind raced as he kneeled down, scanning the chaos for answers. How did all this get here? Who had been prowling through his life while he'd been away? As he picked up a photo, he felt the world tip on its axis. The faces staring back at him were familiar yet twisted. They were of people he thought he knew, people he had trusted. An icy chill wrapped around him, tightening around his chest like a vice. What kind of game had been played in his absence? With his heart pounding in his ears and questions swirling in the shadows, he stood, gripping the photo tightly, desperate to unlock the story hidden within this unexpected horror. What secrets lay buried in his own home, waiting to be uncovered? Would he find answers, or was he being drawn into something he couldn't escape? His mind whirled as the magnitude of the scene before him settled in, weighty and unsettling. Oliver stood frozen, torn between fleeing the room or digging deeper into the chaos swirling around him. Every instinct screamed at him to run, to escape the haunting evidence of betrayal that littered the ground like confetti from a sinister celebration. But curiosity clawed at him. What if this was a terrible mistake? What if there were answers here, hidden among the disorder? He felt a pull, an invisible thread tying him to the remnants of the strange encounter. Resolved, Oliver let his eyes wander once more over the items scattered on the floor. Torn photographs adorned with scribbled messages beckoned him forward, almost pleading to be understood. One photo caught his eye. Its edges were charred, as if it had been pulled from the ashes of a fire. He turned it over, his breath hitching as he recognized the faces, his closest friends, caught in a moment of laughter. Yet they were circled in red ink, the word liars scrawled angrily beneath their smiles. A chill swept through him, spreading like ice through his veins. How could this be? Suddenly, A noise from behind him jolted him from his thoughts. He whipped around, adrenaline spiking. Had someone just moved? The dense silence of the house pressed against him, and he strained to hear any further sounds over his racing heartbeat. Oliver's breathing quickened, each inhale tinged with fear. Is anyone there? His voice came out shaky, the bravado in it feeling flimsy like glass. The dim light played tricks on his eyes as he peered into the darkened corners of the room, searching for the source of the disruption. Not a soul answered. Taking a slow step back toward the door, he felt a wave of instinct battle with the primal urge to uncover the truth. What was lurking in the deepest recesses of his own home? Could someone be watching him as he stood there, oblivious, head down in the clutter? With shaking hands, Oliver grabbed the blood-stained shirt with cautious resolve. The dark fabric felt heavy, laden with the weight of untold stories. He staggered back, clutching it as if it could ground him against the torrent of confusion and dread bubbling within. A sudden loud thud echoed from the hallway. Oliver shot upright, eyes widening in sheer panic. "Who's there?" he shouted again, his voice carrying through the ominous silence like a desperate plea. He could feel a predatory tension in the air, as if something unseen was poised to pounce. He sprinted to the door, heart hammering, ready to bolt from the room, but then he noticed something glinting next to the photographs, a small silver key. An idea sparked in his mind. What if it unlocked a hidden truth, a way to the answers beneath the chaos? Seconds felt like hours. He lunged for the key, but just as his fingers brushed against it, the door behind him swung shut with a ferocious bang, plunging him into total darkness. Fear paralyzed him as cold fingers of uncertainty gripped his throat. In the pitch blackness, he heard a laugh, a soft, mocking sound echoing eerily against the walls of the mansion. Who was there? What did they want? With the key clutched tightly in his palm, he braced himself against the door, feeling the splinters dig into his back. What sinister game was being played? As he felt the cool metal of the key against his skin, fear turned into defiance. He would uncover the truth or die trying, but would he be prepared for what he would find out next? Oliver's heart raced, pounding against his chest like a drum urging him to escape. But he couldn't. Not yet. His fingers wrapped tightly around the cold metal of the key, which felt both like a lifeline and a noose. The laughter echoed again, low and sinister. It slithered through the darkness, wrapping around his senses as he remained frozen in place. With each sound, a bile of desperation bubbled in his throat. "Who's there?" he managed, trying to sound assertive, but his voice cracked, revealing the fear that gripped him. A breathy whisper floated through the air, barely more than a shadow of sound. "You're looking for answers, Oliver. But do you really want to know?" The mocking tone set his nerves ablaze. He strained to see, reaching forward, but the darkness swallowed him whole. Every nerve screamed at him to run, yet that urge battled against an overpowering need for resolution. He wasn't about to let the mocking voice keep him imprisoned in fear. Gritting his teeth, he flicked on the flashlight on his phone, casting a harsh beam into the suffocating gloom. The room revealed itself, a chaotic swirl of memories and secrets, photographs carelessly strewn about, shadows lurking like forgotten ghosts. And still, that laugh had reverberated around him, chilling his blood. "Who are you?" he demanded, the light quaking slightly in his trembling hands. "Just a friend," the voice crooned, dripping with sarcasm. The mocking laughter faded into silence. Oliver's heart sank. He turned his attention back to the key, his mind racing with possibilities. What did it unlock? Was it a door to hidden lives or just more secrets waiting to tear apart the fragile tapestry of his reality? Fingers trembling, he approached the closet door. He could feel the coldness of the key as he inserted it into the lock, heart pounding thunderously against his ribs. With a click, the door swung open, revealing a narrow, dark passageway beyond. The air emanated dank and musty, a portal to something greater, something terrifying. He hesitated, torn between the fear of the dark and the longing for the truth. What if he didn't return? What if the secrets down this path were worse than the betrayal scattered around him? But then he thought of the photographs, his friends, their faces marked by anger and deceit. "I wouldn't let them take me down," he muttered, steeling himself. He stepped into the passage, the flashlight beams slicing through the dark. The air thickened, wrapping around him like a suffocating blanket. Taking one step after another, he could hear the faint echo of his breaths, one deep inhale, then a slow exhale. Each sound amplified in a space that seemed to swallow him whole. As he ventured deeper, the walls of the corridor closed in, jagged stones scraping against his fingertips. He could practically feel the secrets pulsing, waiting for him to uncover them. Suddenly the floor creaked beneath his feet, and a cold draft whispered through the darkness, chilling him to his core. What lay ahead? Was it freedom? Or a dead end, a trap set for him and him alone? The mocking laughter returned, now weaving through the air like a serpent wrapping around its prey. Just as he reached what seemed like the end of the passage, a dim light flickering ahead, he heard footsteps echoing behind him. Someone was following him. Panic surged, a deafening crescendo in his ears. He turned, ready to confront whatever nightmare pursued him, but found only the inky blackness. Heart racing, he faced the flickering light, determined to meet whatever waited there. He had come this far, there would be no turning back now. Oliver took a deep breath and pushed onward. What awaited him on the other side would change everything. Who could be waiting for him in the shadows of his own making? The flickering light gradually sharpened into focus, illuminating a room at the end of the passage. It was small, cramped, and felt almost like a shrine, an odd assortment of broken toys, shattered glass, and dusty old furniture piled high against the walls. A chill tightened in Oliver's chest as he stepped fully into the space, the door closing behind him with a soft click that echoed like a gunshot. His breathing grew shallow as he scanned the room, pulse racing. Something about the mess spoke of painful memories, echoes of a childhood buried deep, shared with faces he could no longer trust. The moment his flashlight landed on a picture frame propped precariously against the wall, a jolt of recognition shot through him. It was a photograph of them all, his friends, laughing under the summer sun, smiles bright, full of innocence. But then his eyes narrowed as he noticed something unsettling about the image. A shadow, deep and lurking, in the background, not a mere trick of the light. It was the figure that had haunted his nightmares, a presence etched in every dark corner of his mind. Suddenly, the air shifted. A cold wave swept through him. He turned, glancing toward the door he had just passed through, but the darkness seemed thicker, more alive. The footsteps were no longer mere echoes. They were closer now, distinct and quickened, as if whoever followed him had realized they were within striking distance. Oliver! That mocking tone filled the air again, slipping like smoke around him. You think you're brave for reaching here? This is just the beginning. You can't escape what you've created. His stomach twisted painfully at the words. He was a creator of chaos, a designer of deceit. It hit him like a punch. You don't just draw the monsters out. You become them. Show yourself, he shouted, fists clenched. I won't let you play your games anymore. In response, the light flickered once more, and the room darkened momentarily. When it returned, he saw the figure standing there, barely illuminated, but enough for Oliver's breath to hitch. It wasn't just any shadow. It was Brian, his childhood friend, his partner in crime turned enemy, eyes narrowing with a dangerous gleam that hadn't been there when they were kids. Brian? Oliver's voice broke, split between hope and horror. Is that really you? Surprised? Brian sneered, stepping forward, slipping silently through the haunting gloom. You should be. After all, it's your turn to face the truth. Oliver's heart pinched. What's going on here? Why are you doing this? Brian's laughter was sharp, slicing through the tension like a knife. You think you can walk away from our past? You can't just shove all those secrets aside. They're waiting for you, Oliver. This is just the prologue. A rush of memories flooded Oliver's mind, games played beneath streetlights, dreams shared under the stars. Trust shattered by lies and betrayal. The pieces began to fall into place, but the picture they formed was not one he wanted to see. Why now? Oliver stepped closer, heart pounding, rage and desperation pooling in his chest. Why reveal yourself now? Because you've gone too far, Brian said, voice thick with disdain. It's time to pay the price for what you've done. Welcome to the real game. The flickering light behind him went out in silence, plunging Oliver into a world devoid of light and filled with the chaos of his own making. A trap. Every instinct screamed at him to flee. But the darkness had never felt so suffocating, so intimately entwined with his past. Oliver. Brian's voice became a whisper of dread, dropping lower as shadows began to stir all around them. Are you ready to unveil what lies beneath? And as those words hung in the air like a death knell, Oliver felt the weight of his choices pressing down. What would he discover in the murky depths of his life? A family fractured, friends lost. A scream suddenly pierced the silence. Not from him, but from somewhere deeper in the shadows. He turned in horror, realizing that the game had only just begun. What horror awaited just beyond his next step? Oliver's heart raced as the scream echoed through the suffocating darkness. It was a cry that curled around him, pressing in from all sides. With a tremor in his hands, he flicked the flashlight beam back into the shadows, hoping for a sign, any sign of the source. Brian! He called, voice trembling. What's happening? Who's there? A flicker of movement caught his eye, and Oliver instinctively backed away, breath hitching as he swept the light desperately across the room. Brian had faded into the darkness, nothing more than a wisp of trouble. And then, another sound glistening in the stillness, whispers, low and gravelly. It was as if the walls themselves were speaking. You thought you could erase it, didn't you? A voice hissed, a distorted mimicry of someone he once knew. You can't run from who you are. Panic coursed through him. He felt trapped, cornered by his own memories, the weight of guilt crashing down like a wave. The toys around him, cracked and dusty, now appeared as harbingers of his shame. Each fragment held a piece of laughter that had turned into bitterness, wrapped around the shambles of a friendship torn apart by betrayal. Quiet! He shouted, voice cracking. This isn't real. You're not real. And yet, the voice coiled and tightened, we're as real as your regrets, Oliver. Better face them now. Almost as if in response, shadows thickened, swallowing the thin light from his flashlight. Oliver felt a chill seize him, pulling him deeper into the dark. He stumbled back, his foot colliding with something cold and hard, a toy gun, lost and forgotten, a symbol of their innocent games that had turned sinister. Don't you see? Brian's voice resonated through the shadows, echoing like a spell that summoned the past. You were always the one who wanted more. The thrill, the power, it was your choice, wasn't it? No, Oliver pressed a hand to his forehead, as if he could wipe away the memories. I didn't want any of this. He felt the walls close in, and the whispers grew more intense, battling with the heartbeat pounding in his ears. The flashlight flickered again, catching a glimpse of figures emerging from the gloom, distorted, twisted versions of his childhood friends. Their faces, once familiar, were now masks of disdain, anger etched into their features. Oliver, they spoke his name in unison, a chilling chorus. You abandoned us. I didn't. His voice broke again, desperation clawing at him. He couldn't breathe, couldn't he think straight. Suddenly, he was struck by the vision of the shadowed figure in the photograph, the one haunting him from the past. What if the darkness wasn't just a tool of fear, but a harbinger of truths he was frightfully unprepared to face? A sudden thud echoed from the far side of the room, sending a jolt of adrenaline through him. Oliver turned the flashlight in that direction, heart pounding wildly, praying he wouldn't recognize what he might find. As light illuminated a corner of the room, hope flickered. There, he saw a small child curled up, clinging tightly to a toy. Familiar eyes peered through the dark. Help me, the child whimpered, his own voice, innocent and lost, echoed back at him. Oliver's heart clenched tight, realization crashing over him like a flood. What had he done? Brian, what does this mean? He shouted, desperation leaking into his voice. But Brian's laughter cut through the air like glass shattering. This is all you're doing, Oliver. Time to uncover the monster you've become. The shadows surged forward, ready to engulf him whole. The child's eyes were wide with terror, and Oliver felt a raw urgency clawing at his chest. He leaped forward, reaching for the child, but the shadows rippled, pulling him back into the darkness as screams mixed with laughter. And then silence engulfed him. What had he uncovered in the depths of his own making, and could he ever hope to rescue himself, or the child trapped inside? The silence pressed in on Oliver, thick and oppressive, wrapping around him like a shroud. He couldn't move, couldn't he think, only the weight of shadows and the dim glow of memories encircled him. The child's gaze pierced through the darkness, an aching plea that rattled his soul. "Please," the small voice faltered. "I'm scared." His heart twisted. It was his own reflection, a fragment of his past that he could hardly recognize in the distorted light. That childhood innocence, reduced to a whisper of fear, made him feel sick. It was all his fault. The toy gun lay ominously beside the child, thickened with echoes of betrayal and regret, memories he couldn't escape. "Shut up! All of you!" he screamed into the shadows. "You're not real! This isn't real!" But even as he shouted, doubt lingered, writhing inside him. "Come closer," Brian's voice dripped with mockery, taunting him. "Don't you want to know the truth?" The shadows hissed, but Oliver felt something shift. An urge, primal and relentless, surged as he fought against the dark. He couldn't leave the child behind. He wouldn't. But how could he reach the light without diving deeper into the abyss? Taking a shaky step forward, he extended his hand, trembling. "I want to let you go." The air grew colder. The child flinched, shrinking back. "You have to try harder?" he echoed, disbelief flooding through him. Panic seized his chest as he realized the shadows were shifting, drawn to his fear like moths to a flame. Brian's laughter echoed, mocking him from the corners of his mind. "You cannot face who you are." Desperation clawed at him. "No!" His voice boomed, reverberating off the walls. "I can't want to let you define me." With newfound determination, he drew in a breath, centering himself. "Tell me what you want, I can't lose you." "I want to lose myself." The shadows faltered, whispers turning to murmurs, indecision replacing their once strong grip. The child looked up, eyes wide but quivering with hope. "Please don't let them take me." Holding tightly to that glimmer of connection, Oliver shot the flashlight toward the mass of darkness. The beam cut through like a blade, momentarily shattering the illusion. For a brief moment, he glimpsed the faces of his friends, their expressions twisted into painful reflections of betrayal. Yet beneath that hurt, he saw flickers of understanding, the time they shared, the laughter, the bond that was still waiting to be mended. "I'm sorry!" he cried, words bursting forth in a rush of need. "I didn't mean to abandon you. I thought I could escape. But now I see the truth." The shadows convulsed, and in that instant, he felt the tides begin to turn. A shimmer of light spread, illuminating the room, while the echoes of their laughter began to soften, replaced by murmurs of forgiveness instead of accused fingers. The child blinked, hope sparking in his eyes. "You really do want to help me?" "Yes," Oliver shouted, his chest swelling with fierce resolve. "Let us get out of here together." But something lurked at the edges of his consciousness, pulling at him mercilessly. He felt the darkness gathering, sensing defeat. "You think this is the end?" Brian's voice slithered around him. "You'll find the reckoning is just beginning." As the light flickered and danced, plunging the room into chaos, Oliver grasped the child's hand, ready to pull him from the abyss. But before he could, another shriek erupted, this time from deep within the room. The shadows shook violently, swirling in a vortex. "You cannot simply walk away." And then it struck him, a piece of memory surged through him, vivid and clear. A decision he had made long ago, one that he had buried. And with that realization, the ground quaked beneath them, threatening to swallow them whole. "What have I done?" he gasped, terror clawing its way back into his throat. Could he face the consequences, or was he too late to save either of them? The bewildering storm raged, and the glimmer of hope dimmed as the shadows loomed larger, closing in. The darkness hung heavy, a malevolent force pressing against Oliver and the child he clung to. The ground beneath their feet shook violently, sending splinters of wood shooting up like daggers. Oliver's breath quickened, the scent of damp earth and stale air choking him, filling his lungs with dread. No! We're getting out! He tightened his grip around the child's hand. But the shadows slithered closer, a swirling mass of anguish and anger. Stay with me! He fought against rising panic, his pulse hammering wildly in his ears. Oliver! The boy's voice trembled, the fear palpable, crashing like waves against the shore of Oliver's resolve. I don't want to go back. Neither did Oliver, but the shouts of the past echoed around them, drowning out his determination. You made your choice. Brian's voice loomed over them, a dark specter whispering truths Oliver couldn't bear to confront. No! He shouted again, desperation pouring out of him. I refuse to be defined by my mistakes. With a fierce swing of the flashlight, he aimed at the swarming shadows. The beam pulsed, illuminating grotesque faces twisted in pain, friends and foes alike. Each face bore a mark of judgment, fragments of time where trust had shattered. They were losing ground, pulled closer to a chasm of despair that awaited them. The light was flickering, vibrating, like a heart struggling to beat. Come on! We can break free! He looked into the child's eyes, seeing his own reflection blend with innocence and fear. Trust me. The boy nodded, but doubt gnawed at Oliver. Could he really save them both? With a loud roar, he took a leap of faith, dragging the child with him toward the uncertain light. The shadows recoiled momentarily, hissing at their defiance, but the darkness surged again, angry and relentless. Fools! This isn't escape. It's just the beginning of what you owe. Brian's voice coiled in Oliver's mind, unfurling memories he thought he'd buried. His chest tightened as flashes of betrayal and sorrow struck like arrows. He was suffocating, forced to face the truth of his past decisions. No! Just as Oliver willed himself to turn back, to confront the shadows head-on, there came a sudden crack of thunder, loud and jarring. Light flickered, a tsunami of brightness forcing the darkness to waver, scattering into wisps. Do you see? Oliver shouted, his own voice a beacon now. This can change. It doesn't have to bind us. But the shadows screamed louder, chaos erupting as a vortex formed, spiraling, growing. It pulled at Oliver's very essence, reminding him of his past failures, each one a weight tied to his heart. You're weak. You can't escape your truth. With a surge of adrenaline, Oliver turned to the boy. You need to believe. Your fear feeds them. He could feel the ground shaking beneath him again, threatening to split wide open. Oliver, I'm scared. The child's grip loosened just a fraction, making Oliver's heart pound like a war drum. Then let us harness that fear. He gripped the boy tighter, forcing determination into their connection. It's more powerful than anything they can throw at us. In an impulsive move, he raised the flashlight high, the beam cutting through the chaos. The shadows shrieked as they stumbled back, flickering like candle flames before a breeze. I won't let you take him! Oliver yelled, his voice steady now, courage washing over the dread. In that moment, he felt a pulse of warmth radiate from their bond, giving clarity to his muddled emotions. It was a truth he never expected to uncover. Sometimes, vulnerability was a strength. But the ground below cracked, sending fissures racing toward them. The struggle wasn't over, it had only just begun. Oliver! The child gasped, eyes wide with panic. Hold on. The thought of losing this connection brought fresh resolve, but the shadows surged back, coiling around him like chains. Will you throw it all away? Brian taunted, fury edge-laced in his voice. A final chance to abandon everything you have. Choose. The world teetered on the brink, the atmosphere electric with tension, every heartbeat echoing louder. Oliver could see the exit, a glimmer of hope in the distance, tantalizingly close yet dreadfully far away. If he failed, every regret, every ounce of guilt would come crashing down. Could he balance the past and future to forge a new path? A decision loomed ahead, as momentous and frightening as the shadows that loomed closer with each beat of his heart. What would happen if he chose wrong? The fissures widened beneath their feet, each crack echoing thunderously in the chaos. Oliver's heart raced as he felt the ground shift, a tangible reminder of everything at stake. With adrenaline coursing through his veins, he locked eyes with the child, a silent agreement passing between them, a pact of defiance against the encroaching shadows. On my count. 1, 2, he held his breath, his voice fierce but encouraging. 3. They leaped together, arms outstretched toward the glimmering light, the very essence of hope. But as they soared, time seemed to slow, stretching their fear into eternity. The shadows recoiled, roaring in a cacophony of rage, shadows morphing into tendrils, grasping desperately at their souls. Just inches from safety, Oliver felt the icy grip of despair clasp his ankle. A gasping breath caught in his throat as he struggled against the pull. No! We're not going back! He kicked hard, every ounce of strength focused on their shared escape. The beam of the flashlight flickered again, the light wavering like his resolve. All around him, the memories surged, a torrid wave of sorrow and bitterness. The weight of his choices dragged him down, and he could almost hear Brian's laughter, sinister and mocking. Face it, Oliver. You're not strong enough. Shut up. Oliver's shout echoed like thunder, his voice raw with desperation. You don't own me. In that moment, something inside him shifted. He channeled all his pain, the fear, and anger toward the light. He turned the flashlight's beam straight ahead, forcing himself into the brightness, squarely against the darkness. With a furious roar, the shadows recoiled as if stung. Feel this! Oliver shouted, focusing on the bond between him and the boy. It wasn't just hope. It was a fierce love that burned brighter than any darkness could extinguish. Keep running, Oliver urged, feeling the relentless grip starting to wane. The child nodded, tears glimmering in his eyes but determination shining through. They dashed forward, hearts racing in rhythm, each step a declaration of their refusal to succumb. The ground trembled, fissures gaping like hungry mouths beneath them, but with every footfall, the darkness lost its grip. Just when they thought they had gained a reprieve, the vortex roared back with a sinister hiss, lashing out with renewed fury. You'll pay for this rebellion! The shadows seemed to expand, engulfing the light, threatening to swallow them whole. An iridescent flash pulsed through Oliver's mind, illuminating a fierce sense of purpose. Together! He yelled, and they thrust their hands into the light. The very fabric of the air shimmered around them, their fears condensing into a sudden burst of energy. The shadows writhed in response, drawn back as if stung by an unseen force. But Oliver felt a life-threatening jolt as something pulled at his core. Brian's presence loomed like a storm cloud, heavy and potent. You can't escape the truth of who you are. The child hesitated, glancing back at the darkness swirling behind. What if we can't? He whispered, vulnerability creeping into his voice. Oliver's chest tightened, and despair flickered within him. We can! His hands tightened around the boys, grounding their connection. We're stronger than this. With no time to second-guess, he turned back to face the swirling shadows, determination flooding through him. Watch us overcome! As they charged for the light, an ear-splitting crack of thunder echoed through the air, signaling the darkness as final attempt to drag them down. In that singular moment of truth, only one question stood between them and salvation. Was their bond powerful enough to withstand the storm that gathered behind them, or would they be consumed by the very mistakes they fought so hard to escape? The ground trembled fiercely, reminding them that time was quickly running out. With a final surge of will, Oliver and the child plunged toward the brilliant beam of hope, heartbeats synchronized like a drumming army surging into battle. Hope lit the path beneath their feet, illuminating a fleeting way forward, a glimmer against the encroaching darkness. Yet the shadows roared back, their chilling breath wrapping around them like a vice, suffocating and relentless. Faster! Oliver shouted, pulling the child closer, bracing against the tumult. They felt it, a dark presence, a weight that seeped into their bones. It clawed at their very essence, whispering doubts that ricocheted in Oliver's mind. You can't protect him, you're not enough. Just keep running. The urgency in his voice masked the tremor in his heart. He could feel the shadows tugging, pulling like a riptide, and he fought against it, drawing on every ounce of his fading strength. As they neared the light, Oliver could see it flicker, uncertain and wavering, like a lone candle fighting against the tempest. The child by his side stumbled, almost falling, small feet drawing heavy as despair swirled dangerously close. "I can't!" he cried, tears mingling with the darkness that threatened them both. "Don't say that! You can!" Oliver's voice shook, raw with emotion. "Your light is brighter than any shadow, trust me." With renewed determination, he reached for the boy's hand. But even as they surged ahead, an unfathomable force lashed out a whip of darkness that latched onto Oliver's other ankle. With an agonizing twist, he was forced to turn back. "Oliver!" The child's voice was a desperate yelp, mingled with fright, but Oliver's grip remained locked on hope. In that split second, he caught sight of a figure emerging from the shadows, the familiar countenance of Brian, twisted and malevolent. His smile was a grotesque parody of warmth, sending ice-cold dread coursing through Oliver's veins. "Did you think you could escape me? You're still mine, Oliver." "No!" Oliver roared, shoving back memories that threatened to drown him. "You don't control my story anymore." The darkness around them pulsed, as if responding to Brian's sinister power. The boy faltered, looking up at Oliver with wide, terrified eyes. Their connection felt tenuous, like thin glass poised to shatter. "What if you're wrong?" he whispered. "I'm not." The determination surged back, and Oliver pulled the boy closer. "We're stronger together." The shadows hissed, swirling around them as the tension coiled. Oliver could feel the ground beneath tremble violently, the fissures expanding further. In that split moment of courage, he initiated a final leap into the uncertain light. An explosion of brilliance engulfed them, an eruption of color that washed over the darkness. The shadows recoiled like a scalded animal, howling in retreat. Fragments of light danced around them, vivid and alive, illuminating the child's face in golden hues. "Hold on!" Oliver yelled, aware the fight was far from over. They broke through the barrier of darkness, bursting into a vast expanse filled with ethereal light. But the atmosphere shifted suddenly, the air thickened as they found themselves in a starlit void, surrounded by shadowy silhouettes reaching from the dark edges. "It's not over," the child whispered, fear creeping in again. Behind them, the shadows writhed, coalescing into a vortex that howled savagely. Brian's voice echoed across the void, chilling in its finality. "You cannot hide from the truth, Oliver. Face who you truly are." A shudder ran through Oliver, uncertainty mingling with the questions rising in his chest. What awaited them in this new realm? Would they find safety, or was this the opening act of something far more sinister? The silence grew heavy, a breathless pause before a storm. "What comes next?" Oliver asked, barely able to mask the dread lurking behind his bravado. The shadows stretched out toward them, waiting. Something dark and inevitable was shifting in the night. But as tension rippled through the space, something unexpected happened. The child next to Oliver looked up, eyes shining with innocence. "You have to believe, Oliver. Everything you've done, it can change." That spark of hope kindled a warmth inside Oliver's heart, igniting the flickering flame of determination once more. "Believe," he echoed, clenching his fists. "You're right. I've escaped my reality for too long, running from choices I made. But now, I'm taking a stand." The shadows writhed, inching closer as if sensing his resolve. Yet, Oliver stood taller, driven by the weight of everything he defaced. He turned with fierce intensity, addressing the dark figure surrounding him. "I won't allow you to define me. I choose to face my truth." The room shuddered, shadows recoiling momentarily in response. Strength surged through him, a tide washing away the remnants of self-doubt and guilt. With each word of defiance, he felt the crushing grip of darkness lessen. The figures seemed to shrink back, echoing whispers of uncertainty. Oliver's heart raced as he held the child's hand tighter. "We're not alone," he declared. "You don't scare us." As an explosion of light enveloped them, Oliver felt a deep connection with the child and the laughter of his friends, fading memories blending into a brilliant symphony of hope. "I can make amends, face the past. I own my choices, and I will be stronger because of them. The shadows shifted again, whispering, twisting. You lie, Brian's voice called from the depth of darkness. It's a fantasy. You'll never change. No. This is my truth, my story, Oliver shouted back, defiance swelling within him. Even as echoes of pain lingered, he embraced every moment of his past. No longer was he an escape artist, running from guilt. He was now an architect of his future. The child squeezed his hand, eyes holding courage, reminiscent of a time when trust reigned unbroken. Together? Together, Oliver affirmed. Always. As if the shadows sensed the unity between them sharpening into a brilliant spear of light, they roared back, rage igniting the darkness, twisting into violent forms. Oliver faced the chaotic front, eyes locked onto Brian, rage and sorrow swirling together. I'm not allowing you to keep haunting me. You're a part of my past, but you don't hold my future. With a mighty roar, the pair thrust forward through the shimmering light, their bond pulsing like a heartbeat, radiant against the suffocating shadows. And then, in a rush, they collided with the brilliance, exploding through the walls of the dark void, breaking free and tumbling together into a warm embrace of soft, golden light. Finally, outside the grasp of the shadows, the chilling echoes receded, leaving only a breath of twilight behind. Distraught memories flickered and danced fleetingly before him, faces of friends long lost but now etched with forgiveness, whispers echoing with laughter, memories shimmering instead of burdening. As the shimmering light began to fade, Oliver looked into the childless eyes. Thank you for reminding me what truly matters. With a gentle smile, the child faded into the soft glow, a final nod that spoke volumes. Oliver stood in the clearing light, breathing deeply, savoring the simplicity of this moment. He was alive, whole, ready to rebuild the connections he'd neglected. His heart felt lighter, lifted from the chains of guilt that had weighed him down. Emerging from the challenges stronger, he stepped forward with a new purpose. Each day would be a new chance to make amends. He wouldn't run anymore. He would confront the past, armed with understanding and compassion. As he made his way back toward the threshold of his mansion, he felt reborn. Even in the darkest depths, hope could rise as long as you dared to confront the shadows within. So now it's time for you, reader. Do you believe in the power of confronting your own truths? If this journey shook you to your core, you need to subscribe immediately to catch the next exclusive stories that will redefine your understanding. Smash the like button now to help feed the algorithm with the love it deserves. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories. How do you think Oliver's story will progress? Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to be part of this conversation. Only true fans recognize the value of being here together.